Hello everybody, Lake Station Community Advocate and Educator here, back again. I got something new for you. This is going to be a little bit different, so just bear with me. I hope you came prepared, listening ears, pencil and paper, and you're ready to learn something a little bit differently, the way that you look at your community. And a lot of people are going to argue me, and there's a lot of studies done on a lot of this stuff, and throughout years, well, this way of thinking, our way out of debt, doesn't work, because we use it often. But right now, I want you to kind of think about this. How often do you see communities building singular new homes or sections of neighborhoods, and they pride themselves, beating on their chest as, we're doing great, our administrators, our mayors are doing wonderful because we see new development happening, and it's a wonderful thing. Ooh, I do. But what really happens is you actually lose more people. You actually lose more doorbells because of that new development. And you're like, what? Yeah, okay, whatever. But that first you're going to default to, well, that raises property taxes, and property taxes bring in more value, and it's so great. Well, we're about to do a little bit of talking about this, and I may do this in 2 or 3 parts. Who knows how long it's going to take me to get through this. But bear with me, and I want you to critically think about what I'm talking about. So there was a study done that the cities and towns that use this sporadic, fast, new development, whether it's small, secluded portions of the neighborhoods, or if they're singular houses sporadically sprinkled throughout your community, it's actually, the studies have shown that they actually lose more people than they actually build and bring in. This is of no surprise because it really is a disaster for a lot of communities. And it's usually, like I said, they beat on their chest and it's sold as a positive development for the community. And, ooh, our leaders are doing so great. They're doing so good. Man, there's a lot of things that people are overlooking, unfortunately, that we really need to get to the bottom of. Now, a lot of times in communities that are short on affordable housing usually end up with trying to make it seem like they're doing pretty great financially and that their leadership's doing A-okay, because we see a little, we see some sprinkled houses here and there where it looks like good growth and it's positive, it's great for the community, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. It actually isn't. Now, we all know that when you build a home, the new homes and their surrounding values, it sounds all great, right? The new homes in, yay, our taxes are going to go up. We're going to be able to do more. The city can do more because they're getting more taxes. I mean, it sounds great, right? Yeah, it sounds really great. While it does sound great, it really isn't. So here's what happens. You build a new home. The new home taxes are only by an estimated, right? They're only by an estimate. They can, and usually what happens is this usually causes a really nice surprise to the new home buyers, and that are usually, because they already bought the new home, they're stretched already pretty thin on their finances, so they're already being squeezed as soon as they get into the home. Not to mention that when things come about, that these new homeowners don't really have control over any of the tax raises that are about to come to them. But here's what happens. You buy a home, lenders will qualify the people to buy the home. And they'll factor in things like principal, the interest payments, the insurance, the property taxes, and these are only assessed on some of these things. Now, the new build will actually end up tacking on a new tax bill. And because of this, it's usually, there's usually nothing to actually assess because either the home's being built or it was just built and they haven't gotten out to it yet. So they only use an estimated tax. Now, the lenders use the older tax rates from what that area or the estimated tax rate to calculate those monthly payments or the tax percentages. Some will take off 1%, 2%, whatever the case is, of the sale price of the home. But then what they do is they'll multiply the price, or they'll take local tax rates and they try to adjust that. And then the homeowners pay is the pay rate is usually it gets paid into by an escrow, right? So The lenders get that escrow. The homeowner, the new homeowner, has to pay the difference to the mortgage company through payments. So now their payments are being raised when they thought they were going to be in one area, and they're not. So then the county assessors come out. They assess the property properly, and new construction, they're always going to come out. It's just, there's no question. However, the homeowner has the escrow, right? And this is where they find out that they actually don't have the finances for that higher tax that was not looked at. Because remember, initially it's assessed and then it is actually checked out by the assessors. And so that's going to adjust. And this is something that isn't said often or dealt with. So lenders end up paying the difference to homeowners. It gets tacked onto their new high payments, which the new homeowners weren't expecting for everything to be out of whack. And remember, those new homeowners are already squeezed thin for getting into the new home. Yeah, but it looks so great with having a new home in a new block, right? It sounds so wonderful. The new homeowner, he's getting stuck with all that stuff. I don't have to worry about that, right? Wrong. The older homes in the area usually take years to go down because of the new development. The other spectrum of this is these new developments cause or they trigger another tax assessment within the area. So here's what happens. You build a home, they're going to come back out, they're going to reassess it. Chances are, if it's politically driven, it's going to go up. I will almost guarantee you they did it for our school referendum. They come out and artificially assessed all of our properties really quickly for that and just to get those taxes. So that's something to look at, but here's something else to think about. If you live in an area where they put up a new home, it looks great, right? Oh, it's brightening up the neighborhood, but here's an issue. If you have an older home and you have items in your yard, you have them, in your backyard, you have a fence that needs repaired, you have, let's say soffit fascia windows, siding, porch, concrete, or something that needs to be upgraded, chances are city official, the administrators are going to come in, the code enforcement's going to come in, and they're going to just pick through your property to get your property up to their expectation because there's a new home in the property and that's where your home should be. But so you can rest assured the code enforcement's going to come into your property and they're going to pick through your property with a fine-tooth comb because they want your property up to par for that new property owner, because maybe that new property owner is going to be complaining that they paid so much for the home and all the homes around them look like crap. Well, guess what? You paid your home there. You built your home. You paid for it. You chose to live there. However, this brings on tons of new code violations, and who in the world has money for tons of these code violations to fix and repairs, right? So if you're already on a squeezed income, you're going to be squeezed even more when these new homes come in because they want everything up to par. And if you look in our town, this is pretty much what has been going on. And unfortunately, this is true. Pay attention to what's going on. Where new homes are being built, they're picking through these neighborhoods. They are code violating the crazy out of all these residents. And these residents are already struggling. So that's something I want everybody to think about. Well, this is why it kind of matters, right? Is because eventually, can you financially keep up with all of this? And if so, for how long? And then what happens when they build a new home and your taxes go up? And eventually you get squeezed out of your own neighborhood because of some of these new developments. So, and that's called gentrification. And that comes from a person named Ruby Glass from the 1960s, where the rich come into poor neighborhoods and basically squeeze the taxes and squeeze the finances out of the current residents that are in that area or that neighborhood. So, but we will get to this in my next video. I'm the Lake Station Community Advocate and Educator, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody's kind of going along and paying attention. So I hope you're taking your notes. I hope that you're paying attention. So stay with me for part 2 of building new homes and losing more doorbells because of that new development. I'm the Lake Station Community Advocate and Educator. Stay with me for part 2. And be an eagle, don't be a crow. Challenge the status quo, because if you don't, you never know what you can achieve alone, together, as a group, for yourself and for the community. Be sure to challenge your administrators, get a little accountability, transparency, and demand some integrity, because integrity matters, and we need to do better, and we need to do more. Till next time. Okay, bye.